When I opened my eyes, the first thought in my brain was, damn, where is this? There are trees all around the sky, and there is a fragrance of plants and trees in the air. You can even hear the sound of birds in your ears, and it feels like you have entered a primeval forest. But I clearly remember that I was staying up late in the dormitory to change the game code. Why did I get here in the blink of an eye? I looked down and saw that I was wearing a torn cloth and holding a wooden stick in my hand, like a cabbage player who had just crawled out of the novice village. Wait. Why does this scene look so familiar? I slapped my brain and my memory came up like a tide. Isn't this the game world Phantom Land designed by my university time? I remember that every tree, every road, and even the arrangement of the 3 moons in the sky is clear. System? Goldfinger? Time travel benefits? I tried to shout a few times in my brain, but I felt nothing was right. Okay, you have to survive without a system. Since I'm here, this Phantom Mainland is my main venue. After all, who can understand this world better than a creator like me? All the hidden tasks and places of Tibet have maps in my brain. I was just jokingly calculating the future when my stomach suddenly started to growl. Yes, we must first solve the problem of warmth. According to memory, there should be a town called Qingfeng Town nearby, and there's Adventure Guild there, and it should be no problem to take on tasks and make small money. I recognized a direction and walked towards the town with a wooden stick. Half an hour later, I finally saw the city gate of Qingfeng Town. The town is not big, but it is extremely hot. The street is full of strange-shaped men, including long-eared spirits, dwarves full of facial beards, and some soldiers who are not easy to mess with at first sight. They are carrying giant swords on their shoulders and are very energetic. I swallowed, walked in with my head hard, and headed straight for the Adventure Guild. The guild hall was head-on, and a huge mission board was hanging on the wall, filled with various mission orders, from helping the old lady finds cats to destroying the timberwolves. I was staring at the kanban and was suddenly patted by someone on my shoulder. Hey, new, what are you looking at? If you want to take over the task, don't you be too tight to the roster? A rough voice came. I turned my head and saw that it was a dwarf full of cheeks. He was not tall but shocking. He was wearing heavy iron armor and a battle axe in his hand. Brother, I just came here, I don't know much about rules. I slapped my head and showed an awkward smile. Haha, a bird. Okay, my name is Carl, a dwarf. Look at you, what if you want to get along with you? But let me say first, I won't take care of the waste. Carl patted his chest, his voice as if it was thunder. It's true, my name is Lin Hao. Thank you for being covered by my brother. I was busy and had a lot of fun in my heart. The guy Carl is obviously a meat shield-shaped character, so the team must be stable. Hey, short guy, are you pulling someone into the team again? Don't stuff any cats and dogs into the team. A crisp female voice sounded, and I followed the sound and saw a tall elf girl leaving. She was wearing green leather armor on her body, holding a long bow in her hand, pointed ears, and delicate facial features as if they were painted, but there was a little disdain in her eyes. Alia, don't you always have a stingy tongue? This little brother looks quite powerful and may be able to help you. Carl smiled and was not angry at all. Help? What can he do with such a broken wooden stick? It's good to stop dragging your legs. Alia glanced at me, her temper was full of disgust. My heart skipped a beat, and I didn't feel nervous on my face. I smiled and said, 2 guys, I am indeed a novice, but my brain is still a spiritual one. I give us an opportunity. I guarantee that I won't disappoint you. Alia snorted coldly and said nothing more. Carl snorted with a big hand, okay, that's it. Let's set up 3 teams to take on a simple task and be enthusiastic first. The 3 of us arrived at the mission board and were about to choose a novice task when we suddenly came from another entrance of the building. A young man wearing Huali armor walked in, followed by several followers, and his aura was as strong as a big boss. As soon as he entered the door, he headed straight to the board, tearing off a high-level task order, and muttered in his mouth, the mission of this broken place is too unchallenging, so he can hardly get along. I glanced at it and wrote the goblin header who cuts down the black iron mine on the mission. The prize was 50 gold coins plus a blue quality weapon. This mission is simply a sausage to novices, but to this guy, it is obviously a piece of cake. Hey, Lord Ren, have you taken on a high-level mission again? You are worthy of being the top adventurer of the guild. A dog-legged horse slapped his fart, and the sound was loud enough for fear that others would not hear it. Ren? Why does this name sound so familiar? As soon as my brain turned, I remembered that this guy was a villain NPC in my game settings. He was a rich man, and he was strong. He liked to bully newcomers the most. He was simply a mobile ridicule. Sure enough, the next second he glanced at me, and a smile appeared with an unkind smile. Yeah, isn't this a new vegetarian bird? You dare to come to the guild with a stick? Don't be funny. Ren's voice was filled with heavy ridicule, and the follower Rima next to him burst into laughter, which attracted many people from the hall to look at me. I was so angry that I was rising, but I was still smiling. Mr. Ren laughed. I just came to learn from my studies. How dare I compare with you? Humph, it's good to know how many pounds I'm doing, don't worry. Ren sneered and turned around and was about to leave, but I noticed with sharp eyes that he just threw away a task order with his hands and just flew to my feet. I looked down and saw that the task order was written, investigating the unusual silence of the deep green forest, and the prize was only 10 gold coins, which was difficult to mark unknown. No one dares to take on this kind of task because the risk is too high and the returns are low. But the memory in my brain told me that this mission was actually a hidden thread. After completing it, you can get a rare blue weapon with a very ordinary value. Hey, Carl, Alia, what's the matter with us? I passed the task and said in a low voice. Alia pointed her eyebrows and said, Have you got into the water? This mission is dangerous at first glance, and there are still few rewards. Who will take it? It's okay to hear me. This task has a great reward, believe it or not. I blinked her, with a little confidence in her language. Carl was quite cheerful. Okay, my little brother has a reasonable point, so let's try it. At worst, you can't beat him and run away. Although Alia was unwilling to do so, she still pointed. 3 of us registered our mission and took the map and set out into the Blue Wind Forest. On the way, Alia still couldn't help but complain, Lin Hao, you'd better not cheat us, otherwise I'll come the first time I'll come you. Don't worry, I can't cheat. I smiled and said, but my heart had already started to count. According to memory, the unusual silence of this mission is actually a shadow leopard hidden deep in the forest. It is extremely fast, but its weakness is also obvious, it is afraid of fire. Just use fire attack to get it easy. An hour later, we came deep in the forest, and there was a strange chill in the air. Alia pulled her bow and arrow, and looked around with caution. Carl held the tight battle axe and prepared to slap it at any time. I pointed to a clearing in front of me and said in a low voice, There is a trap there, which is the terrain I remember. Prepare the torch first and listen to me to point it. How do you know there is a trap? Or point it out. Alia looked suspicious, but she still prepared the torches. I said. Don't ask, just think directly. I fooled me and then signaled them to follow. We quietly approached the open space and sure enough, we heard a low growl. A leopard, which was pitch black, shone out from the grass, with its eyes flashing with green light, so fast that it was almost impossible to see clearly. Carl, hold on. Alia, shoot his legs. I shouted, and quickly lit the torch and threw it at the leopard. Carl roared and took a war axe to resist the leopard's striking. Although he was hit and took a few steps back, he did not fall down. Alia reacted faster, and took a few arrows to hit the leopard's back leg accurately, allowing it to slow down. My torch hit the target, and the leopard was so scared that it made a ruthless cry, and it started to slap. Stop using fire attack, don't let it run. I threw a few more torches, combined with Alia's arrow, and forced the shadow leopard into the trap. Finally, Carl hit hard and smashed its brain directly, ending the battle. Huh, this guy is so fierce. Carl wiped his sweat and grinned. Alia turned her head and looked at me with a complicated look. Lin Hao, How do you know its weakness? In this trap, how many things are you hiding? Let me tell you slowly in the future. Let's take a look at the loot first. I sold a locket, walked to the leopard's womb, and found an old treasure box in its nest. When I opened it, I saw a short sword scattering purple light lying inside. The attribute panel shows, Shadow Blade, purple quality, attack plus 30, additional 5% blood-sucking effect. I'll go, purple. This mission award is too awesome. Car's eyes straightened. Lin Hao, this is for you. It was you who brought us. Alia hesitated for a moment and sent the short drama to me. I didn't recommend it either. I took the short drama and said with a smile, don't worry, there are many good things in the future, and everyone will have a share. When we returned to Qingfeng town, we handed over the task, and the staff of the guild were stunned. I didn't expect that we really completed this unknown task. The news soon spread and people in the building kept throwing surprise eyes at us. At this moment, Ren happened to be back with a team, and there were still a few injuries on his body, which seemed to have just finished a tough battle. Sir, Lord Ren, are you back? Is the mine mission smooth? I asked deliberately, with a few hypes in my language. Ren's face darkened, and he clearly heard my mockery. Humph, even a cabbage dares to challenge me? Isn't it just that you can accomplish a small task with good energy? What's so proud of? Fashion? That's not necessarily true. Lord Ren, your blue dress is good, but it seems not as good as mine, right? I deliberately put on the shadow blade and shook it in front of him. The purple light flashed on the sword's body caused a surprise around. Wear you purple clothes. Ren's face was green and he stared at me with gritted teeth. Of course I got it by real strength. Lord Ren, you can't get the wrong tasks in the future, otherwise you won't be able to match the birds. I laughed even more frivolously, and Car next to me couldn't help laughing. Although Alia didn't say anything, the corners of her mouth were slightly slight. Ren was so angry that his face turned blue, he glared at me fiercely, shook his sleeves and left. But I know in my heart that this guy will never be willing to rest. It's okay, come on, I know every corner of Phantom Land. Wanna play? I'll play with you to the end. Let's go, brothers, I'll be a good person tonight, I'll ask. I patted Car's shoulder and walked out of the guild with his team. The lights on the street lighted up, and the adventure just began. I hadn't had a few drinks of the Qinggong banquet, and I had already started to count the next step in my brain. Although the place in Qingfeng town is not big, I am clear about the surrounding terrain and hidden tasks. The shadow blade that he just won was indeed a storm, but this was just a small fight, and the real treasure was buried deeper. Since the team has almost finished working together, it is time to take on a big event and give Ren another shot. Lin Hao, what are you thinking about? Drink. Carl held a big wine glass and shouted at me red, holding a piece of barbecue in his mouth, like a bandit. Hey, brother Carl, I'm thinking about our next business. I grinned and touched his cup. The task was just a sourk. There was a big baby hidden deep in the forest. We have to take advantage of the heat. Alia was wiping her long bow beside her. When she heard this, she glanced at me, her verb was still as poisonous as ever, Baoba? Is it your so-called straight again? I was almost torn by a leopard last time. Who are you going to kill this time? Don't worry, I'm 100% sure this time. I patted my chest and said in a low voice, there is a loss at the deepest part of the Blue Wind Forest. It says there is a treasure of the genre called the Ring of the Senro, which can greatly improve the wearer's magic resistance and physical recovery speed. This kind of good thing will be gone if it is wrong. Trade level? Car's eyes lit up and he slapped the table suddenly. What are you waiting for? It will be released tomorrow morning, fuck him. Although Alia still looked very unbelievable, she didn't object, but just said coldly, Lin Hao, if you cheat us again this time, I promise to shoot your brain with one arrow. Okay, there's no problem. Don't blame me if you don't shoot. I laughed, and my heart began to calculate the route and the countermeasures. The mission of the Ring of Monroe is not something you can do with. There are groups of demons around you to protect them, and their strength is several times better than that of the shadow leopard. However, there are maps and monster weaknesses in my brain. As long as this battle is well arranged, it should be incredible. The next morning, the three of us were ready to go and headed straight to the Adventure Guild. There is indeed a Chinold mission order on the mission board, writing exploring the Green Forest floor and finding lost titles. The difficulty is extremely high, and the prize is 100 gold coins plus any spoils within the expiry. It is estimated that the task order has been planned for several months, but no one dares to take it. After all, the difficulty is too high, and maybe it will be a life-threatening purchase. That's it. I suddenly tore off the task order and walked towards the cabinet. Several adventurers around him looked at him and all looked at him with disgusting eyes. Some even muttered in a low voice, "Are these guys deadly?" Even Lord Ren dared to take on the mission, so how dare they touch it? After registering for the task, we didn't go to bed and went out directly. The deeper green forest is than the outer forest. Trees cover the sky and the sun, and the air is filled with a rotten smell. You can still hear the growls coming from afar. Alia walked in the front, responsible for exploring the way. Carl carried a war axe and followed, and then I pressed and watched the terrain, constantly recalling the details of the game map in my brain. After walking for about 2 hours, Alia ahead suddenly stopped walking and said in a low voice, "I'm calm, there's no match in front, prepare for a fight." As the voice fell, several huge wolf-shaped demons suddenly appeared from the grass. The hair was dark gray, the eyes were flashing with angry light, and the teeth were pointed like daggers. I felt nervous and realized that this was a shadow wolf pack. I was attacking with speed and group. The single strength was not top-notch, but it was very difficult to get more than one. Carl, protect the middle. Alia, shoot their eyes, don't let them get close. I ordered quickly, and at the same time took out a few easy traps from the package. This was what I did last night, using pointed wood and vines from the forest to mark the group monsters. Carl roared, swept the axe, and directly smashed the 2 shadow wolf in front of him, forcing the first wave of attacks. Alia continued to draw her bow, and the arrow hit the wolf pack's eyes accurately, forcing them to stumble. I took the opportunity to drop the trap to the side wings, and after a few attempts, the shadow wolf stepped on the pointed wood directly, making a slight wail, and instantly lost the fighting force. Fuck beautifully. Continue to pressure, don't give them a chance to counterattack. I shouted, and used the shadow blade to solve a wounded wolf. The blood-sucking effect restored my condition to fly faster. In less than 10 minutes, more than 10 shadow wolf was cleaned up by us, and only a bunch of corpses were left on the ground. This thing is really not easy to mess with. Carl wiped his sweat and grinned, but Lin Hao, why is your trap so effective? It's as if it's a specialty to help the beast. Hey, coincidence, pure coincidence. I fooled it, and felt secretly proud in my heart. The points and usage of these traps are all classic warfare in the game. It specializes in restraining small groups of monsters like Shadow Wolf, and the effect is naturally good. Alia didn't say anything, but there was a little more approval in her eyes. She put away her long bow and pointed forward. The front should be the scattered entrance, but the atmosphere is even more dissatisfied, so we have to be careful. I clicked the head and continued to move forward with them. Not long after, a broken stone door appeared in front of me, with ancient runes engraved on it, scattering a faint wave of magic. According to memory, this is the Tibetan site of the Ring of Senro, but there is a stronger wave of defense around the entrance, the Emerald Demon Bear, a magic weapon with high defense and attack power. It is weak in the abdomen, but it is not that simple to hit. I heard that the monster here is rough and thick skin. Carl, you are responsible for attracting firepower. Alia aims at its belly. I come to find a chance to get traps and replenish the knife. I lowered my voice to set off the war, and at the same time took out a few hot medicine bags from the package. This is the material I bought from the town last night, and the easy-to-explosion props I made myself, specially used to break the defense. Carl clicked his head, grabbed the tight battle axe and yelled, "Come on, beast, let's play with you." Sure enough, a heavy footsteps came from behind the stone gate. A demon bear with an armored shape comparable to a hill walked out, covered with thick armor on his body, and roared towards Carl. "Be careful." Alia shot several arrows in an attempt to attract attention, but the arrow hit the demon bear without any effect. Instead, it angered it and directly smashed Carl with one tail and flew for several meters, and even the battle axe was wiped out. Carl. I felt nervous. I didn't expect that this magic bear was stronger than in the game, and its power was simply out of reach. Carl got up with a piercing thrust, bleeding from the corner of his mouth, and he reluctantly smiled. "It's okay, I can still beat you. Don't resist, back." I shouted, and at the same time, I burst out the fire medicine bag, hitting the demon bear's foot. With the sound of fire, the demon bear was blown up and stumbled, and a small piece of soft meat that was not covered by armor appeared on its abdomen. Alia had quick eyes and quick hands. She shot an arrow. The demon bear let out a painful roar, and her movements obviously slowed down. "Stay blowing, force it to show its weakness." I threw a few more hot medicine bags, and combined with Alia's arrows, forced the demon bear to retreat. Carl also joined the battle again at this time, lifting his axe and slashing hard at the demon bear's legs, finally letting it fall to the ground. Last hit. I held the shadow blade tightly and slashed it, hitting the wound on the demon bear's abdomen, and blood was sprayed wildly. The blood-sucking effect made my state instantly regain. The demon bear stomped for a few seconds and finally fell to the ground, no longer static. "Huh, this guy is so fucking hard." Carl sat on the ground, gasping for breath, and his body was covered in injuries. Alia wasn't much better, and her bowstring was almost broken, and her face said in a pale face, "Lin Hao, where are your hot medicine bags? How can it work so well?" The gadget in the town has been modified." I replied casually and squatted down to check the demon bear's body. Sure enough, in the gap between the stone door behind it, a small treasure box was exposed, emitting a faint golden light. "It's done!" I opened the treasure box excitedly, and there was indeed an exquisite ring lying inside, flowing green light throughout the body, and the attribute panel shows, Senro's ring, which conveys quality, magic resistance plus 50%, and physical strength recovery speed plus 30%. This attribute is simply a magical tool for our team, especially a flesh shield like Carl. Wearing this ring is basically an indestructible iron block. "Carl, you hold this ring, it's up to you to fight the injury." I passed the ring directly without hesitation. Carl was stunned for a moment, took the ring, grinning like a fool. "Lin Hao, I understand you, brother. What's going on in the future? Even if you say it, I'll take it for you." Alia hummed, not saying anything, but her eyes were clearly moved. At this moment, a sudden rush of footsteps came from behind, accompanied by a familiar and whispering voice. "Yeah, I didn't expect that you could really find the treasure birds like this," which saved me a lot of energy. I turned around and saw that the guy Ren appeared far away with a few followers, with a smile on his face as if he was worthy of beating, and a broken map in his hand, which seemed to be following us. "Ren, you're really going to be successful. Why don't you come to explore the way yourself?" I sneered and tightened the shadow blade. "Explore the way? Of course, that kind of coolie life is for you such inferior people. I just need to take the harvest and the results are enough." Ren shook his hand and several followers from behind him surrounded him, making a fuss. "Want to snatch something? Ask my axe first if it answers." Carl stood up, put on the ring of Senro, and recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye, full of fighting spirit. Alia also pulled her long bow and pointed her arrow straight at Ren. "Let's go ahead and try it." Ren's face darkened. He certainly didn't expect that we would still have the strength to fight, but he quickly sneered, "Just like you? Do you dare to challenge me? Brothers, give me a chance, kill Baozong, and earn half of the money." As soon as he finished speaking, his companion Lima rushed over and the sword was rushing out, but his aura was not weak. I felt a stir in my heart and quickly said to Carl and Alia in a low voice, "Don't fight hard, and lead them to the left of the stone gate, there is a connection there." Carl pointed the head, pretending to be unfair, and stepped back, directly leading Ren's follower to the side of the stone gate. I took the trouble and went to the back and quietly approached a hidden stone slab next to the stone gate. This is a remote anti-warming machine. Once it is touched, it will spray poisonous fog, which will treat the inability to long-term blindness. Ren saw our festival retreat and shouted proudly, "Ha, the cabbage is the cabbage. Do you really think it can turn the world? The treasure is mine." As he said, he pushed himself to the stone gate and tried to open the treasure box directly. Just now, I pressed the stone slab suddenly and heard a low bird. A dense green poisonous fog suddenly leaked from the stone door. Ren and his followers were caught off guard and were instantly covered with a cap, with coughing and crying one after another. "Retreat!" I shouted, and quickly retreated with Carl and Alia. The poison had no effect on us, because I had long been wearing antivirus drugs on my body, which was a hidden prop in the game, and it should be special for this machine. When the poisonous fog dissipated, Ren had already fallen to the ground as soon as he helped him. His face turned blue and he couldn't stand up even when he stood up. Ren stood up reluctantly and stared at me with gritted teeth. "Lin Hao, you are playing tricks. Take it. This is called Zakeo, Lord Ren, learn it." I smiled and slapped my hand, turned around and left the team, leaving an unwilling face of Ren roaring in the spot. When we walked out of the forest, it was already dark, but the three of us were in an unprecedented mood. Carl carried the battle axe and hummed the tutor. Although Alia didn't say anything, her eyes clearly showed a little more trust in me. I felt very happy. This battle not only took down the magic weapon, but also slapped Ren on the face. "Don't be too happy." "But, I know, this guy will definitely not let it go." The adventure of Qingfeng Town is still long, with more challenges and treasures hiding ahead and waiting for us, and I have long been preparing for the next big move. After returning to Qingfeng Town, our team's reputation was finally revealed. The winery was discussing how we could get the Ring of Senro, and humiliating the guy Ren. Every time Carl mentioned this, he was so happy that he couldn't hold his mouth. He held a big wine glass in his hand and shouted in his mouth, "Lin Hao, you really have a kid. Even Ren's goods are in your hands. Ha, it's great." Although Alia still had that cold face, the smile that could not be hidden in her eyes had already sold her. She wiped her long bow and said in a low voice, "Don't be too proud too early. People like Ren will definitely not be good at silence. If you come again next time, it's probably not a small fight. What are you afraid of? Come and fight one by one, come and fight one by one." I smiled, took a sip of wine, and my heart was already counting the next step. We have basically ignored the mission of Qingfeng Town, and ordinary challenges have no meaning to us. If you want to really stand firm, you must take on a big event that will shock the entire guild, so that everyone can shut up and give Ren a fatal blow. "Hey, Lin Hao, what are you thinking about again? Why is your eyes so expensive?" Carl came over, holding a piece of barbecue in his mouth, and his face was full of curiosity. "I can't talk about bad ideas, just want to add some fame to our team." I put down my glass and said in a low voice, "Isn't there a genre mission on the guild board, Explore the Underground Maze and the Nest of Black Purity? It's said that there is the power to change the vast land. After taking this, we are the legendary legend of the Qingfeng Town." When Alia heard this, her hand shook and almost broke the bowstring. "Are you crazy? Where is the Nest of Black Purple? None of the teams that took this mission in the history of the guild can come back alive. It's hard to directly mark the despair. Do you really want the whole team to die?" "It's because I'm going to go." I blinked her, full of confidence in her language. "Don't worry, there are maps and traces in my brain. Although this mystery is dangerous, the treasures and secrets hidden are worth the price. And, do you believe me? With me here, life is not there." Carl was so excited that he rubbed his hands straight. "Hey, he just takes a slap when he hears it." Lin Hao said, "Right, it's interesting to do big things. Let's go to this black and purgatory nest to see how evil it is." Alia rolled her eyes, but in the end she didn't object. She just snorted coldly, "Okay, anyway, you will be the one who leads you, and you will be cheated if you die." That's what we said, but the three of us knew in our hearts that this mission was not only a challenge, but also an opportunity to turn things around. In the next article, everyone who looks down on us, including the helper Ren, has to shut up. The next morning, we headed straight to the Adventure Guild. The Chin mission order at the top of the mission board was hanging alone, and the paper was almost gone. It read, "Explore the nest of black purity and uncover the secrets of the deep mystery palace." The prize was 500 gold coins, plus all the war treasures in the mystery palace, but the difficulty was marked as desperate. A warning was written on the side: "Do not take the team that is not the top, and you will die for a lifetime." When the people in the hall saw me reaching out to tear the task order, they exploded in an instant. Some people were surprised. "This kid is dead? The nest of black purgats is a forbidden area." Some people also whispered, "It was the team that got rid of the miserable last time, right?" Young people are not afraid of death, it's a pity. We ignored them and directly sent the task order to the counter. The face of the guild lady who was responsible for registration changed. She asked, "Are you sure you want to take it? This task is really dangerous, and the guild will not recommend it." "Okay, please register quickly." I smiled and stopped her, thinking in my heart, danger? If there is no danger, can there be a map danger in my brain? The Nest of Black Purple is one of the final copies of my game design. I remember every layer of terrain, monster distribution, and machine settings clearly. This wave is stable. After registering, we didn't bother much, and we brought the equipment and supplements and it was released. The Nest of Black Purple is located in a barren mountain north of Qingfeng town. The entrance is hidden in an inconspicuous cave, surrounded by mist, and the atmosphere is extremely scattered. When he reached the entrance, Carl couldn't help but tremble. "I'll go. Why is this evil place so evil? I feel like a ghost can pop up at any time." The ghosts are not the same, but there must be something more difficult than the ghosts. I said half-jokingly, and at the same time checked the props in the package: hot medicine bags, antivirus drugs, simple traps, and all kinds of things. These are all prepared based on the characteristics of the mysteries and can help you when you are in a key moment. Alia pulled her long bow and looked around vigilantly. "Stop talking, go in. Lin Hao, take the way." I clicked the head and walked into the cave. The light in the cave was dim, there was a fishy smell in the air, and the foot was covered with slippery moss, and you could still hear dripping water and a low roar from afar. According to memory, this mystery is divided into 3 layers, each with a guardian boss. The first layer is the Rotten Bone Spider. It has strong toxicity and group attack ability, but it is afraid of fire and light. "Let me in, keep an eye on me." I pointed in a low voice, and walked forward carefully after igniting the torch. Before long, there was a rustling sound from the depths of the passage. 10 spiders as big as fists crawled over from all directions, with bone spurs on their backs and green venom dripping from their mouths, which made people's skin numb. "Carl, slam ahead. Alia, shoot their eyes, I'll burn it." I shouted, quickly threw out the torch, and the flames flashed, and several spiders were burned in trouble and made sharp screams. Alia continued to draw her bow, and the arrow hit the spider's weakness accurately. In conjunction with my fire attack, she quickly cleared out a path. But this is just a small slot, the real numbness is in front, the body of the Rotten Bone Spider, a giant spider with a shaped body comparable to a cow car, lying in the center of the first floor, with spikes on the 8 legs, and the poisonous fog sprayed from the mouth can make people feel numb in an instant. "Be careful of poison and get antivirus medicine." I quickly reminded me and took out several hot medicine bags from the package. Carl roared and rushed up to attract fire. The giant spider slapped his claws and slapped him for a few meters, but the Ring of Monroe forced him to stand up and continue to fuck him. "Alia, aim at its mouth and don't let it spray." I shouted, and threw the pyrodisiac bag at the spider's abdomen. With a loud blast, the spider was blown to make a slight cry. The frequency of poisonous fog spray was significantly reduced. Alia seized the opportunity and took a few arrows to hit its mouthparts. Green venom flowed all over the ground, and the spider's movements became slower and slower. Last hit. I held the shadow blade tightly and pushed it up and hit the spider's head. The blood-sucking effect made my state instantly regain. The spider pierced for a few seconds and finally fell down, leaving only a pile of fishy limbs on the ground. Huh, this thing is so fucking disgusting. Carl wiped his sweat and sat on the ground gasping for breath. The light of the ring of Senro flashed, and his face turned a lot better. Alia put away her long bow and glanced at me. Lin Hao, why do you always work with these medicines and paradisiacs? It's as if you were preparing for these monsters. Hey, the energy is so good. I was fooled and felt secretly proud. These props in warfare were standard configurations in the game. It's not too simple to restrain these bosses. After a moment of rest, we continued to penetrate the mystery. The guardian of the second level is the stone statue demon, a puppet with extremely high defense power. It is weaker in the magic core behind it, but it is not that easy to get close to it. Fortunately, the terrain was beneficial to us. The second floor was full of narrow passages and traps. I set up the war in advance and used traps and firecrackers to blow up the magic defense. With Carl's hard resistance and Aria's long-distance output, I reluctantly solved it. Just as we were about to enter the third level, a sudden burst of stomping sound came from behind, accompanied by a familiar and whispering voice. Yeah, I didn't expect you to really get here, which saved me a lot of trouble. I turned around and saw that Rensky actually showed up at the entrance of the passage with a team of people, wearing new armor and holding a long sword that emitted blue light in his hand. It was obviously a big price to get the equipment. The following several followers behind him were also quite enthusiastic, and it seemed that they had invested a lot. Ren, are you really not dissipating? Are you getting cheap again? I sneered and tightened the shadow blade. It's cheap? This is called rational use of resources. Ren grinned, his eyes full of greed. The treasure of the black-purple nest is mine. You are just a piece of chess piece that helps me explore the way. Brothers, give it to me and snatch their things. As soon as he finished speaking, his companion Lima rushed over and the sword was rushing out, and he was very energetic. Carl yelled and took the battle axe to fight. Alia quickly pulled the bow and hit it, but there were many people on the other side, and we were temporarily suppressed. Don't force yourself, retreat to the third level entrance. The terrain is good for us. I pointed in a low voice, and the brain flew back to the map of the mystery. There is a huge rockfall connection at the entrance of the third floor, which can bury all the pursuers as long as they are touched. Carl clicked and stepped back, and forced himself to catch the first wave of the Ren team's attack. Alia continued to shoot arrows, forcing the other party to not dare to force her too tightly. The three of us fought and retreated, and finally arrived at the entrance of the third floor. In front of us was a narrow stone bridge, with a deep slab under the bridge, and next to it was an inconspicuous stone slab that was the touch point of the rockfall machine. Ren, don't chase after me, otherwise you'll have to explain this. I shouted deliberately, trying to delay time, and quietly approached the stone slab. Explanation? Just hate you? Be a dream. Ren sneered, and his team rushed over. The long sword pointed directly into my chest, which was amazing. Just now. I pressed the stone slab suddenly and heard a rush. The huge rock on the top of the bridge fell like rain. The Ren team was caught off guard and was instantly smashed to the point of being overturned. Ren reacted the fastest and reluctantly avoided a huge rock, but the follower behind him was not so lucky and was directly pressed into a paste, which made the whole mystery scream. Lin Hao! You must die a little. Ren got up in a wolf, half of his armor was smashed, his face covered in blood, and he stared at me with gritted teeth. But he was gone, standing alone on the bridge, with no energy. Sir Ren, don't say it's too full. If you have life, just run away. Otherwise, the next wave of stones will not be too big. I smiled and slapped my hand, turned around and stepped into the third floor with Carl and Alia, leaving an unwilling face of Renee roaring in place. The atmosphere on the third floor is more stressful than the first two floors. There is a strong wave of magic power in the air, and you can still hear a low roar from afar. According to memory, the guardian boss here is the Black Demon Dragon, which is far ahead of 2 levels, but the real secret is not in it, but in the forge behind it. It is the hidden thread of the creator of the game world, which can reveal the truth behind the Phantom Land. Be careful, the monsters on this level are stronger than before, don't be careless. I reminded me in a low voice and checked the equipment and props at the same time. Carl clicks his head, holds the tight battle axe, and Alia pulls out her long bow and prepares for battle at any time. Not long after walking, a low growl came from the front, and a huge black dragon walked out of the darkness. It was like a steel, and its eyes were flashing with the red light, making people breathless. Carl swallowed and said in a low voice, "I'll go, this guy can't mess with you." "Can we really do it?" "Yes, listen to me." I quickly put on the war. According to my memory, the weakness of this black dragon is at the root of the wings. As long as it destroys its flying ability, it can greatly reduce its threat. So I let Carl resist the front. Alia specializes in wings, and I use pyrodisiac bags and traps to help break the defense. The battle was extremely difficult. The dragon's chances burned us 3 directly to ashes. Carl relied on the ring of Senro and forced him to come down. Alia's arrow hit the root of her wings accurately, forcing the dragon to fly. I took advantage of the opportunity to use a fire medicine bag to blow up its armor. The shadow blade continued to sting, and the blood-sucking effect made me reluctantly hold my state. After half an hour of fighting, the black dragon finally let out a ruthless roar and fell to the ground, his huge body shattering the ground. The 3 of us were so tired that we were directly on the ground. Carl gasped, "Damn it, this thing is stronger than the iron-armored demon bear, and it's almost life." Alia wiped her sweat and looked at me with a complex look. "Lin Hao, how can you always find the broken pieces of these monsters? This is not normal." I smiled, and was about to fool me, but my eyes were attracted by the sacrificial priest behind Heilong. The center of the sacrificial sutra is full of ancient runes, with a faint purple light radiant. A stone tablet is floating beside it, with a line of small words engraved on it. The creator of the Phantom Land controls all the will, and the awakened ones will undertake the mission. I was shocked. This passage of text was completely inconsistent with the background settings I designed the game. The Phantom Land was clearly created by me, but the meaning of this stone tablet seems to be that there is a greater force behind it that is controlling everything. Even my time travel is not accidental, but a certain mission arrangement. "Lin Hao, what are you looking at? Why is the face so hard to see?" Carl came over and asked curiously. "It's okay, take the loot first, and go back and say it." I slammed my head and pressed down on the doubts in my heart. A dragon protective armor that emits golden light spreads from the black dragon's body. Its attributes are strong and its defense and magic resistance are directly full of them. It is simply the perfect equipment for Carl. But my attention was no longer on the installation, and my brain was full of content on the stone tablet. Awakening? Mission? What secret is hidden behind this? And why did I be chosen to come to this world? Let's go back and hand in the mission. The guild helper will be shocked. Carl laughed, carried the battle axe, and filled his face with excitement. Alia clicked her head, put away her long bow, and even glanced at me more, as if she had noticed my wrongness. I smiled, without saying anything, and walked out of the maze. I knew in my heart that this adventure was just the beginning, and the greater storm was probably waiting for us ahead. The moment I walked out of the nest of black purity, a trace of fish-white belly appeared in the sky, and the mist scattered. The sun shone on our 3 dusty faces, as if it was a sentence to this life-death adventure. Carl was carrying the dragon armor, grinning like a fool, and muttering in his mouth, "When you go back this time, the guild's eyes are so helpful. Ha, we are a legend of returning alive." Although Alia didn't say anything, the corners of her mouth slightly slung, and the long bow in her hand was tighter, which seemed to be in a good mood. I walked in front, holding the shadow blade in my hand, and couldn't relax like they did. The content of the stone tablet on the black-purple nest sacrifice has been stolen in my brain. Awakener, the will of the creator and the mission. These words pierced into my heart like a knife, making me feel that behind this phantom, there is a secret that is bigger than the game plot I designed. Even my time travel may not be an accident. Hey, Lin Hao, why are you stupid again? Are you still thinking about the treasure and the fascination, and planning to go back and give me another vote? Carl poked me with his elbow, talking all over his face. What are you going to kill? I almost came back to life, isn't it exciting? I replied to my senses and patted his shoulder with a smile. Let's go back to the guild to hand in the mission first. Our reputation will explode this time. When I returned to Qingfeng Town, the Kaisa Association Hall was already full of people, and there were a lot of people in front of the mission board, all of which were discussing. As soon as we entered the door, we instantly attracted all our attention. The discussion came to an abrupt end, and then we were shocked. Bog, are they really coming back? Haging Nest, a lifelong mission. Looking at the armor on Carl's body, the golden light flash, it must be the top-level cargo in the mystery. Lin Hao, this guy, has really been in the team for 2 times. Lord Ren is probably vomiting blood again. I heard these discussions and felt so happy. I deliberately cleared my throat and took the certificate of completing the task, a black dragon film, and slapped it on the cabinet. Miss, please make up for it, we have completed the task of the black-purple nest. The young lady's eyes were straight after the counter, and she said in a daze, You really, have you done it? This is the guild's absolute task that has been suspended for 3 years. When I say, the film is brought back. What's the point? Carl knocked on the cabinet impatiently, and the dragon guards flashed golden light on him, and his air was very strong. The young lady reacted and started to settle the prize in a hurry. She entered the money directly with 500 gold coins, and the guild brought our team the name Stories Adventurer. The people in the building looked at us, and from the initial suspicion to awe, and even a few team leaders took the initiative to meet and wanted to pull us into the group. At this moment, the entrance of the hall suddenly felt a sudden rush. Ren's fellow walked in with a few new followers, his face was blue and his armor was still carrying several obvious cracks. It seemed that he had escaped from the black-purple nest wolf. When he saw us, his eyes were almost bleeding. He gritted his teeth and said, Lin Hao, you bastard, you really have 2 chances, your life is so strong. Mr. Ren, I've won the prize. How about it? The rockfall in the mystery is good, right? I'll follow me next time, remember to wear a helmet to avoid the blooming of my brain. I replied with a smile, deliberately amplifying the sound. When people around me heard this, Lima burst into laughter. Ren's face was green, and his hands holding the sword were shaking, but he didn't dare to move. After all, we had completed the absolute task and had a strong reputation. No matter how unwilling he was, he had to hold it in his hands. Finally, he glared at me fiercely, shook his sleeves and left with the next sentence, Don't be too proud too early. There's not only Qingfeng Town and the Phantom Land, wait and see. I'll be with you anytime. I shouted at his back, and I knew in my heart that this guy would definitely find fault, but I'm not sure, come and clean up one. In the next few days, our team's reputation has been spread throughout the Qingfeng Town. All the difficult activities on the mission board were packaged by us, and we got the bonus and equipment. But the string in my heart became tighter and tighter. The content of the steel of the black-purple nest made me sleep uneasy. I even began to wonder whether the creator of this world was me. That night, the winery was filled with people, and Carl was drinking red again, shouting in his wine glass, Lin Hao, we are the most powerful team in Qingfeng Town now. When should we go to a bigger place to go? I heard that the mission board prizes in Wangdu are higher and there are more treasures. Alia wiped her long bow and snorted coldly, the capital? There are strong people in that place, and there is no limit to the end. Why do you always want to die? What are you afraid of? With Lin Hao leading the way, you can come back alive even if you are desperate. Carl laughed and patted my shoulder. I was about to answer when suddenly a sharp stinging pain in my brain, as if someone had forced a pile of memory fragments into it. I covered my head, and there were countless pictures in front of me, the birth of the Phantom Land, the origin of monsters and races, and even a vague figure, standing in the air without any effort, saying in a low voice, Awaken, time has come, welcome your mission. Lin Hao, what's wrong with you? Why is your face so white? Carl's face tightened and even put down his wine glass. It's okay, I'm drunk too much, I'm a little excited. I reluctantly smiled, suppressed the shock in my heart, and my brain was overturned. These memories are definitely not what I designed the game, but something higher, like, the real creator of this world is talking to me. Drink less after drinking too much, and I have to take over the job tomorrow. Alia glanced at me, with some concern in her language. A few days later, the guild suddenly came to big news. The Tower of the Sky, the core of the Phantom Mainland, is about to open, and it is the most dangerous place in the whole world. It is said that it hides the power to reshape the rules of the mainland, and only the strongest adventurers can enter. As soon as the news came out, all the guilds were blown up, and countless top teams were ready to compete. Lin Hao, isn't this our chance? After going to the Tower of Imperial Sky, we are the #1 in the mainland. Carl slapped the table excitedly, and the wine glass in his hand was almost crushed. Alia pointed her eyebrows. First? It's not bad to be able to come back alive. Hearing that the guardians in that place, the strongest adventurers and the kings, are we going to seek death? You have to go even if you want to die. I gritted my teeth and looked calm. This tower of empty space may be the place to solve all my doubts. No matter how dangerous it is, I have to go together. Will you be willing to be with me? Carl Lima pointed. When I say that I am a brother, how can you just gun a horse? Alia hesitated for a moment, and finally hummed, okay, I'm not afraid of death anyway, I'll be with you again this time. The three of us hit it off, packed up our equipment, and headed straight to the Tower of the Sky. The news heard on the road is getting more and more arousing, saying that the Guardian Dimensional Lord in the tower is the ultimate existence of the Phantom Mainland, and its power can destroy the entire world. But my heart became colder and colder. The memory in my brain told me that although this guy is strong, he is not invincible. As long as he finds his core weakness, everything will be turned around. When we reached the Tower of Void, countless adventurers had gathered in front of the tower, and the guy Ren was among them. When we saw us, we had the thumping smile on our faces. Lin Hao, do you really dare to come? This place is not something you can play with, don't be killed by then. Ren, take care of yourself, don't be trampled under my feet later. I sneered and replied, feeling no time to pay attention to him, and directly led Carl and Alia into the tower. The inside of the Tower of the Sky looks like a maze, and the air is full of suppressed magic waves. Every step it takes is like stepping on the tip of a knife. We kept killing the tower with my memory and warfare all the way. In front of me, a huge black vortex swirled, and in the center of the vortex, a giant figure composed of virtual shadows appeared slowly, the master of virtual air. Humans, you dare to enter my territory and prepare for the collapse. The voice of the Ducon Lord touched the entire tower like thunder, and the magic power radiated all over his body made the ground tremble. Carl swallowed and said in a low voice, I'll go, this guy is even more proud of Black Dragon. Are we really capable of it? Yes. I gritted my teeth and the memory fragments in my brain were suddenly completely completed at this moment. I finally understood the meaning of the stone tablet. I am the chosen awakener. This phantom land was not created by me, but a trial space left by a higher existence. My time travel was to take over the rules of this world and reshape everything. Carl, fight the front. Alia, shoot it at the core, I'll find a break. I shouted, and at the same time, holding the shadow blade, suddenly a force of unprecedented power emerged from my body, as if the game memory was completely integrated with my will, and every move brought the atmosphere of destroying the sky and the earth. Carl roared and rushed forward. Dragon armor and Mariro's ring made him resist the first wave of attacks from the Imperial Lord. Alia's arrow shot out like rain, hitting the core of the vortex center accurately. I rolled to the side wings, and the memory in my brain told me that the weakness of the empty dominance lies in the energy point behind it. As long as I destroy it, I can end this battle. Go to die. I roared angrily, and the shadow blade burst out with a dazzling purple light. The whole person rushed towards the energy spot like a cannon. The blood-sucking effect made me more and more brave. I was forced to fight the magic pressure of the Master of the Imperial Dominion, and shattered the spot with a single sword. Impossible, how would you know? The Master of Imperial Hollow roared unwillingly, his body shattered like glass, turning into countless light spots and dissipated. The whirlpool at the top of the tower collapsed, and a warm light shone down, as if the whole world was lowering its head toward me. It's done, it's really fucking. Carl sat on the ground, smearing sweat and laughing like a fool. Alia put away her long bow and looked at me with shock. Lin Hao, who are you? The power just now is not something that ordinary adventurers can do. I smiled, and did not answer directly, but walked towards the light in the center of the tower. There, a virtual figure appeared slowly and said in a low voice, "Awakener, you have passed the test. The Phantom Land is about to collapse, and only you can reshape the rules and become the new master." Collapse? Reshape? I asked in a low voice, what will happen to my fellow companion? Everything is up to you, you are the new creator. As soon as the voice of the video fell, it turned into light and diamonds into my body. I instantly felt a stream of invisible power flowing in, and there were countless rules and settings about the Phantom Mainland in my brain, and even the fate of every corner was controlled by me. I closed my eyes and felt the movement of the entire mainland. The collapse of the crisis was easily resolved by me. The Phantom Mainland revived the aggression, the Qingfeng town, the royal capital, and all places were restored to peace and prosperity. I returned to my head, looked at Kar and Alia, and smiled and said, "Don't worry, our adventure will not end. This world is protected by me." A few months later, in front of the Adventure Guild in Qingfeng town, there was a golden flashing card hanging on it, which read, "Lin Hao Team, the strongest legend of Phantom Land." Kar became the guild's honorary instructor, teaching novices how to resist beating. Alia was responsible for long-distance training. Her mouth was still so poisonous, but her eyes were much gentler. Since the Tower of the Sky, Ren was completely convinced and came to the guild to apologize and even took the initiative to ask to join our team. Although I rejected it, I still felt very happy when he looked at his despair. As for me, I became the master of the Phantom Land, but more often, I still like to take on small tasks with Carl and Alia, wander around, and enjoy this world I reshaped with my hands. After all, isn't the fun of taking risks just having fun with your brothers? Hey, Lin Hao, don't be stupid. The new mission is coming. There are monsters in the forest. Are you fucking? Carl shouted at me excitedly with his face, carrying a war axe. Fuck. Let's go. I stood up with a smile, held the shadow blade tightly, and followed them out of the guild. The sunlight on the street is just right, and the 3 moons on the sky are still familiar with it. This story of the vast majority will never end.